to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And it's late, and I was thinking, oh, I just don't feel well enough to record, but I have this commitment, and I feel like when I don't show up for myself here and keep that commitment, I feel like I'm not showing up for you also. But know that I just have been right on the edge of my symptoms being really, really bad, and it's my own fault because I keep doing too much. But I have it really, what happens is I get all excited and I do stuff for, like, my birthday was just this past weekend. And then what I need to do is slow down and rest and nap for at least 4 days. And I haven't been doing that. So today I took a nap. And so I'm going to try to do that for 4 days in a row. And I should start feeling better. That's what it's like for me in stroke recovery with a vestibular disorder. I went to my vestibular support group today. And there was a gentleman who I guess is newly navigating his journey with a vestibular disorder. And what I heard was a lot of, like, okay, yeah, I know you guys feel what I feel, but how do I fix it? There's got to be a solution. There's got to be a way to make it go away. And part of the support group, part of the journey is accepting that it's not going to go away, accepting that it is a permanent condition. And it's sad because it's a lot of people coming in and asking questions, and the answer is, I know what you feel like. I feel that too. We're all different. We were talking about how some people can't go to a movie theater because of the noise, the loudness of it. I can't go to a movie theater because of the visuals. Like, I can't look at the screen. What I noticed this last time that I went, I couldn't handle the loudness either, which was interesting because I don't really recall that standing out to me as much as I did this last time. Like, even though the audio descriptions weren't working when I went this last time, I still wore the headphones because it was taking some of that pounding and the loudness out of the room. So I have been experiencing that too. But my point is, like, it's all different for all of us. And as this gentleman was talking, we were raising our hand whether, yeah, that I suffer from that too, or, but then what I heard was, well, that's great. I hear that we're the same, but that doesn't make me feel any better. That doesn't make it go away. And that's the problem. The problem is that it's a chronic condition and it's not going to go away. And it's really hard to accept that because it's so unusual and it's something that can't be seen. I think that that's one of the biggest struggles that I had, was that nobody can see what's happening. Right now when I'm like, oh, I really wasn't going to record because my symptoms are so heightened, I'll get through the episode and nobody will be none the wiser. I don't know if that's grammatically correct, that I feel terrible, because I've gotten used to functioning like this. And that's really unfortunate. I wish it didn't have to be this way. But if I want to function, if I want to do things that I enjoy, it's give and take. I have to, and somebody was talking about it today, he's a big traveler, and it's like, how much am I willing to suffer for the things that I want to do? And I totally get that. That individual, he tries to, go on airplanes. He's tried to go to a live baseball game. Certain things work, some things don't work. And he just found out that like the World Cup, I think, is going to be right in his backyard. And he had said that he can't go to live games anymore. It's too triggering for him. But he's like, this is an opportunity I can't say no to. So he's going to suffer in order to experience that. So we all pick and choose what it is that we are willing to suffer for. And normal life isn't like that. We don't typically think, okay, what am I willing to suffer for? Usually it's like, do I want to do this or do I not want to do this? So there is this powerlessness, and that's why it's so easy for me to compare my sobriety to my stroke recovery, because it's like powerlessness. I can't control my symptoms, just like I can't control when I get a craving. I have the tools in my toolbox, per se, to manage when I get a craving. I know what to do. I can pick up the phone and call someone. I can redirect my thoughts to something else. Well, in the same way, in stroke recovery with a vestibular disorder, I have the tools in my toolbox to know when I get triggered, when my symptoms get triggered, what can I do? And the big answers, typically, depending on where I am, is to go lay down. But a lot of times I'll just shut my eyes. Wherever I am, I'll just shut my eyes, and it'll at least give me an immediate um, escape from whatever the visual thing that's triggering me. But there was a lot of stuff that I heard in my morning meeting this morning, in my sobriety meeting, about having that lack of control over the thoughts of drinking. And it reminded me later in the day when I was in my vestibular support group meeting, the lack of control of our thoughts about a chronic condition, our disorder, not being able to necessarily control that thought of, okay, like we're all the same here, but that doesn't make me any better. Nothing anyone can say is going to make my condition go away. And just like in sobriety, nobody can say anything that's going to make my disease of alcoholism go away. And in that way, I feel like it takes I'm struggling with the words, but weightlifting for my mind. It takes a lot of practice to get my brain to get used to thinking a certain way. So in my meeting this morning, we were talking about getting in a situation that I didn't plan to be in, not me, but somebody getting into a situation that you don't plan on being in, and there's the potential of buying alcohol staring at you in the face. And it's like, what do? I can't control the ideas. Like, this is what I was hearing. I can't control the ideas that are entering my mind, that I can just go in there and, into a store, and I can buy it, nobody will know, and I'll stick it in my purse and and I'll be off to the races. I can't control my brain from thinking that is what I was hearing. And then in my support group for vestibular, I was hearing that same thing, that same tone is like, okay, I get it. Everybody's got these problems, but that doesn't fix it. I can't make the symptoms go away. And it's learning that these things, whether it's alcoholism or a chronic condition, they don't have arms that can come out and strangle us. I used to think that, and I know why I think this. I was in my detox facility, and I don't remember if it was when I was leaving or when we would leave the building and go next door to the cafeteria. I remember seeing an empty, like, beer can or something that was in the bush. And from that point on, I always thought alcohol could jump out from behind a bush and just throw itself down my throat. I was so vulnerable to the craving that I felt like if I just saw a random beer can in a bush, I would have picked it up and tried to drink it because I was desperate. But it can't do that, right? But alcohol doesn't have arms. It can't open my mouth and throw itself down my throat. But that's what it felt like. That's where I felt like I just didn't have control over what I was thinking. I felt like the craving really was a command, and that it was a matter of thinking it or not thinking it. And if I happened to think it, there was nothing I could do about it. I was going to drink. And that's just not true. What it took was practice. It took me walking by many a bush and not having anything jump down my throat. Romancing the drink was a big thing for me. And what that leads to for me is jealousy. That's what the resulting emotion is when I think of romancing the drink. And I'm thinking like, if I'm sitting at a pool and I see somebody else, this topic has come up a lot lately, but I see somebody else with like a water bottle, and I think automatically, oh, they probably have a cocktail inside there. I mean, who wouldn't? Everybody loves to go to the pool and drink. Well, that's not true. Not everybody, most people don't go to the pool and drink, which I didn't know that. I thought everybody did. But I will still romance that idea, and unless I can interrupt it. And what I have been able to depend on is the idea of interrupting the thought. Um, and the more that I practice interrupting it and replacing the thought with something that's healthier, the easier it is for me to do it. So flipping back over to my vestibular disorder, I have the same freaking ideas where I'm like, I really want to ride my bike. You know what I thought early? I just thought of this when I was out walking Autumn. I thought when we move, when we get a golf cart, maybe I'll be able to drive the golf cart. Yeah, I'll drive the golf cart. And then I had to interrupt the thought because I can't drive a cart. I can't run without the world's moving too fast if I run. It's almost moving too fast when I walk. And I've just gotten to the point, you all know, that I've been able to start walking longer distances. Um, so those are thoughts that I need to interrupt. because some of those things I'll be able to work towards doing, and some things are not realistic for me to think about being able to do quite yet. Maybe one day I will drive a golf cart. I don't see it happening, but what do I know? I didn't see myself being medically retired at age 40, at age 50 either. I'm 51 now. I have to remember that. But I didn't see that happening. So who knows what's going to happen? I mean, what I am romancing, thinking about when we move, and I'm going to talk about this a lot lately because we're really trying to look for this house and move, but is kayaking. I want to go kayaking. Where we're planning on moving, and there's a small lake where we think I'll be able to put my kayak in and at least, if nothing else, just float. Just float in the lake. And so that is, I think, a reasonable idea of what I can do. So I don't have to interrupt that thought. So the thoughts that start making me feel frustrated, and I can feel it. I'm so self-aware now. And that's a good thing, that when I have a thought that is unrealistic in a way, it's starting to make me feel like, well, I can't do that. Oh, I'm probably never going to be able to do that. I have to interrupt it because it's going down a unhealthy road. And that is the same exact thing in my mind. It's the same thing that I've been doing in sobriety. It's a parallel type recovery for me where I am learning the tools to control what is within my fingertips, my body, my balance, my vision, my thoughts. And it just takes practice. And when I feel that my emotional side is getting impacted by certain things that I'm doing or thinking, it's like a balancing act, and it's all going on within me. And the things that I use in order to navigate that is my psychiatrist for sure. I have to talk to her about the all of the I have so many thoughts all the time. I know we all do, but I just can't stop physically and mentally trying to come up with ideas of things that I'm going to do. All of these hobbies that I'm going to do. So I have to go to my psychiatry appointment with her and I have to talk about, look, these are all of my ideas. This is what I want to do. What is causing me to get frustrated because I can't do it, but I want to force myself to do it? What are things that I might be able to do at some point, but I need to make small steps towards it? And what are things that are reasonable that I can do right now? And what are some things that will actually help me rehabilitate and therapeutic and all of that stuff. In sobriety, I know I'm bouncing back and forth, but I see so many parallels between the two. In sobriety, in the beginning, I personally did not like to go to happy hours. I did not like for people to drink around me. I did not like going to holiday parties or anything. I didn't like it. I didn't want to go, but I went because I needed to practice. And that was my sort of rehabilitation in exposure to environments where people were drinking and I didn't have to. But I was always staying in touch with my emotional side. If I started feeling frustrated or jealous, then it was time for me to interrupt that. And sometimes that means, and this is what I learned in early sobriety, it means to leave. It means to get out of the situation right now, because that is what's healthy for my sobriety. In the same way, I'm bouncing back again in vestibular scenario. If I'm in a situation that is not healthy for my head, like I'm being exposed to something that is visually overwhelming, I need to leave. That's the best thing that I can do is walk away. So just like sobriety, stroke recovery has taught me that that my response is where the power lies. My response to what's going on around me. It's the same thing. So I hope I'm articulating it in a good way that there is this parallel between the two. I'm pretty sure that I don't have a lot of audience listeners who have both conditions, have alcoholism, um, and have some sort of chronic condition, but I know that there are some, and I hope that that correlation between the two is clear, even on days that I don't actually draw the correlation. I hope that you can sometimes find your way to see how what I'm saying is applying to your situation. Um, so not having control, daily decisions. I think where I get in trouble is looking at long term. When I start looking at, I'm never going to be able to go to a bar and hang out with my friends ever again. That's not healthy for me. It's also not healthy for me to say, I'm never going to be able to drive a golf cart ever. That's not healthy for me either. So if if I can't draw my own conclusion about where the healthy mindset is and where it's not, I need to talk to somebody. That's where a lot of my healing is getting it out of between my ears and through my mouth so that somebody else can help me. Um, but I try to find this happy medium where some people say things like, I can't run yet. I can't drive a golf cart yet. And I think that that's a healthy way to look at it. I struggle with that because I truly don't believe that I'm going to be able to do some of these things. So I don't know. I struggle, and that's okay to talk about that too. Like to come in and come into the episode and be like, I don't know what to do in this scenario because I'm not going to pretend like I have all the answers. I just talk about my experience and my discipline. Um, I try to be consistent with things, but sometimes I get to a place where I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to work towards being able to run or not. There are some days that I wake up and I think, I'm going to suit up and I'm going to run. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to run for 30 seconds. And then tomorrow I'll run for a minute. And then the next day I'll run for a minute and a half. And then I'll get through 2 hours of my day and I'll be ready to go outside. And I'll put my shoes on and I go outside and I'm like, there's no freaking way I'll be able to run for 30 seconds. What was I thinking? Um, so there's still a lot of lack of control there. And there's a lot of like recognizing, okay, this thought was a mistake. It's just not going to work. So let me just re let's reimagine what I can do. And that's how I ended up getting to doing the rucking with the weighted backpack because I was thinking about running and went outside and was like, you're crazy. If you think you're going to be running, it's not going to happen. Um, and I am playing around with the idea right now of accepting that I'm never going to run again. I'm working on that. And I'm alongside that, making that choice to accept it is I can accept it. I can accept that I can't run again if I can find the same amount of joy doing something else. Can I find the same amount of joy in rucking that I did in running? And so far, the answer is yes. So far, I am building up to the point of finding the same amount of joy. It's different. It's totally different. Um, but it's still something that I think is going to be able to replace running. And I think that is where some of the answers lie for people that are, like I heard in the meetings today, where one is standing in front of a liquor store, we'll say, and trying to make the decision to not go in, trying to convince, yourself not to go in. What can I do instead? Where can I find joy instead? Where can I appreciate life instead? Life is so beautiful without the alcohol. How can I interrupt that thought successfully this time, not go in, and recognize that there is more joy outside of the bottle than there is in the bottle? And then in the same way, this gentleman that's like, I get it, you guys are all like me, but that doesn't make anything better. Doesn't it? Doesn't it make it better? It actually does, but you have to keep showing up. You have to keep showing up because there is a level of acceptance that has to come. And then once that level of acceptance can come, then there is a lot of like listening to everyone else's experience, strength, and hope. And you start being able to see how are these people finding joy in ways that they can't. What are the ways that these people are finding joy in ways that are different than the way that they used to find joy? I don't know. I'm sure that made sense to somebody. So whether it is alcoholism or it is a chronic condition, we we have the opportunity to rebuild and understand that we are not broken. We are different than we were before. We changed. And in life, we usually change over such a long period of time. But when we get sober and when we have some sort of health event that makes things change in an instant, it feels like we're broken, but that's not what happened. We've just changed. We've changed quickly and in a way that we didn't see coming. But we can build upon that. It's like the foundation has shifted, but we can rebuild. We can build on that as long as we talk about it with each other and breathe and respond, um, thoughtfully respond, not react. And those reactions are what gets me walking into a liquor store or not accepting my chronic condition. So, just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So, I'm glad that I recorded. Thanks for being here. I will talk to you tomorrow.